Welcome everyone to our November Community of Practice webinar. My name is Tiffany Oliver. I serve as an advisor in the Office of Global Food Security at the U.S. State Department, and I have the honor this morning of introducing both our webinar and our speaker. So this month's webinar is entitled Integrated Nutrition and Livelihood Interventions and Alignment with the Vision for Adapted Crops and Soils. Examples from Helen Keller and the International Potato Center. In our webinar this morning, our speakers will share comprehensive strategies that integrate climate-smart agriculture with nutrition-sensitive interventions, demonstrating how communities are adapting to changing environmental conditions while improving food security and nutrition outcomes. We will also delve into the essential components of successful integrated approaches, including the development of local resilient food production systems, strategies for income generation through value addition and market access, and the implementation of effective nutrition and hygiene practices. This discussion will also highlight the crucial roles of women's empowerment and financial inclusion in creating sustainable food systems. Before we get started, and I have the opportunity to introduce one of our speakers today, I'd like to turn it over to the partnership, Daniela Vega, for updates from the VAX partnership. Daniela, over to you.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Yes, definitely. We will get some updates of what has happened in the past months. Hi, everyone. I'm Daniela Vega, and I work as Chief of Staff to the Director General in CIMMYT. And I'm acting as Executive Secretary for the VAX CGIAR CIMMYT FAO partnership that is leading the efforts to coordinate, expand, and strengthen the VAX movement, bringing together a wide range of public and private stakeholders, all of whom are invited to join this community of practice. So what has happened for the community of practice in the last weeks, it feels like months, but it has actually been just a couple of weeks back. We have had different happy hours at the major gatherings or the major events that most of the organizations attend to. So we had a happy hour hosted by the GAP report or the Virginia Tech University at Borlaug Dialogue. And we also had another opportunity for engaging with the broader community. These are more like informal gatherings for networking and engagement during the UN General Assembly events and Climate Week. So those are always a good opportunity to share informally some of the progress that has been done for VAX and also start building a broader network. There was also a presentation of VAX at the World Food Forum, so presenting it to the community of ministers of agriculture that were there as an opportunity for further development and for further investment. So that was also very, very important. And most of you were also involved in the papers that were being put together by the community of practice, and then also the spring seminars that were held. So I'm very glad to report back that all of the 6 groups presented their discussion papers. They incorporated the detailed feedback from the community of practice for the final reviews, and those ideas were presented in a successful Borlaug Dialogue breakout session. So the different topics that were addressed were the access to improved crop varieties, the demand for opportunity crops, the value chain creation, which is very important for these crops, and sustainable land use, soil management, and Africa as a place or as a continent where we can showcase this VAX vision and we can realize it as well. So all of these papers were introduced to a highly engaged audience, sparking valuable dialogue on the VAX agenda. And the session highlighted also the collaborative efforts of these community of practice working groups and also the commitment to keep advancing on the innovative solutions within agricultural development. So we are so excited to host this morning and also to hear more about the topic today. So I'm going to hand it over back to you, Tiffany, so that we can kick it off with our Helen Keller and CIP colleagues. And thank you so much for joining us this morning or this afternoon, depending where you are.
Yes. And so I'm going to introduce our first speaker, Tom Van Moerik. Tom is the Global Food Systems Advisor at Helen Keller International, which is based in Dakar, Senegal. He holds a master's degree in plant ecology and conservation biology from Free University in Amsterdam and a PhD in production and resource ecology agriculture from Wageningen I think I'm mispronouncing that.
Oh.
University. He has over 15 years of work experience in research and development on agri-food systems, communication, and scaling of agricultural innovations and integration of gender into agricultural development. In his various positions at KIT Royal Tropical Institute, in the CGIAR, and the Helen Keller Institute in Senegal, he has coordinated implementation of research and development projects on seed systems, sustainable intensification of agriculture, nutrition-sensitive agriculture, and gender-responsive training and communication for large-scale dissemination of agriculture, nutrition, and food system innovations. He has worked at Helen Keller International for 5.5 years. Countries where he has worked to implement and support multi-year projects include Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Cambodia, Ethiopia, Ghana, Mali, Nigeria, Senegal, Sierra Leone, and Tanzania. Countries where he has traveled for short missions and assignments are Argentina, Bangladesh, Benin, Cameroon, Colombia, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, India, Kenya, Malawi, Mozambique. There are so very many. Key areas of expertise are multi-sector programming and policy development for nutrition-sensitive agriculture, climate-smart and resilient agriculture and food systems, agriculture and agri-food systems innovation. And so I am going to take this opportunity now to welcome all of our speakers, but then to turn it over to Tom, who has a video that he'd like to start with.
Thank you very much, Tiffany, for that extensive introduction. Yeah, so before we go into our presentation, we'd like to give you a flavor of these type of projects that we're implementing. And so I'm expecting that our IT people are going to play this video. Can you please start up the video? So in the meantime, while we're waiting for them to start up the video, we have the pleasure of introducing the subject of this webinar to you. Oh, I think they've started. There we go.
In northern Ghana, women bear much of the responsibilities of keeping their families fed. They engage in both agricultural work and household chores like fetching water, preparing food for the entire family, and taking care of their young children. With only one growing season a year, improving nutrition requires addressing the imbalance in workload between men and women.
Through the Growing Futures Club, we invite couples to set nutrition and household goals together. By fostering communication and joint decision-making, we aim to improve not only the nutrition of young children, but also the overall well-being of families.
A key tool in our program is the goal card, which helps families to track progress towards better dietary practices. Our Growing Future Club members get access to seeds of vitamin A-rich orange flakes, sweet potato, vitamin C-rich papaya, and calcium-rich moringa and amaranth. We also introduce a small livestock species, calves, to some clubs as a source of iron, zinc, and vitamin B12. Through a series of 9 nutrition sessions with GFC members, we are promoting the integration of protein-rich cash crop, such as soya bean and groundnut, into infant and young child porridge and the family diet to enhance nutrition. Our Healthy Baby Toolkit helps mothers and caregivers to prepare thick, nutritious porridge and track proper feeding portions for infant and young children. This simple tool is making a big impact.
Gure dide wanda kani te sidma barabu mi basun ko aba gure de ma ngokena ta san sia kan kyan ketinya ba yi sun tutuma ma ba bran ketuma dun don tuma ma ngilti be tum azasani ntati.
Healthy food connectors are the essential link transporting fresh produce from farms to markets, ensuring that nutrient-rich crops reach market women who sell them. Nutritious food crops, a group of empowered market women, take on the task of making these crops available to the public, ensuring that communities have access to healthy, nutrient-rich foods.
Good food is like medicine, and diets are diversifying as gender equality improves. Lasting change takes effort, but better communication and teamwork between men and women are key to growing a better future together.
Great, thank you. So, so the previous video and the coming presentation will really give you an impression of how Helen Keller International and the International Potato Center use integrated nutrition and livelihood interventions to improve the food and nutrition security and livelihoods of low-income families. Can we share the presentation now? So while the presentation comes up, I'll tell you a little bit about these projects. So these two projects were conceived well before the VAX initiative came online. But we will learn that they really align nearly perfectly with its concept in terms of opportunity crops, nutrition, and climate resilience. So we will be presenting. The first case project will be presented to you by our colleague from the International Potato Center, Birhanu Temezgen, who is the coordinator of the Growing project. And Growing stands for Generating Revenue and Opportunities for Women to Improve Nutrition in Ghana. I'm particularly happy to see this project come to life because myself and Dr. Jen Low developed the proposal for this project back in 2019. But I transferred to another organization before it was approved, so I'm really happy to see it now being implemented. The second case will be presented by our colleague Regina Casanova, who's the acting country director for Helen Keller International in Burkina Faso. And Regina and Isaka Savale, the project coordinator, will be presenting this project, which translates as Pathways to Women's Empowerment and Resilience in the Sicily province in Burkina Faso. We will see that the context and the interventions are slightly different, but the approach is quite similar, and in many ways, so are the results, successes, and challenges of these projects. So both projects take an approach which is very similar to the ultra-poor graduation approach that aims to improve people's lives at multiple levels, such as nutrition, food security, livelihoods, savings and assets, and social capital. Consequently, this requires a multi-sectoral approach and interventions. Both projects have interventions linked to social protection, like provision of agricultural inputs free of charge, improved agriculture and income, mostly from sales of surplus production, but also from value addition along the supply chain. Thirdly, promoting good nutrition and health in these projects is important, and specifically creating demand for nutritious foods through market actors. Then fourth, promoting women's social and economic empowerment and promoting more inclusive decision-making in households and communities is a key aspect. And then finally, supporting access to financial services, such as through the establishment and mentoring of village savings and loans group. And of course, this is not necessarily specific to the ultra-poor graduation approach, but both projects promote climate and nutrition smart agricultural and food systems practices, which are institutionalized both at Helen Keller and an International Potato Center. So in terms of VAX opportunity crops, when we look at the profile of the VAX opportunity crop, these were quite similar for both projects. This is not surprising because northern Ghana and southern Burkina Faso have similar agroecologies. These projects are not actively promoting cereals as they were not lacking in diets. Each project promoted at least one VEX opportunity crops in the other groups, and with the only exception being soybean in the growing project, which is not a VEX crop, but which is still considered a key crop for nutrition and income in the basket of options that the growing project proposed in Ghana. In Burkina Faso, there was a bit more diversity that was promoted, particularly in the leafy vegetables and through the inclusion of agroforestry and non-timber forest products like shea tree, shea butter, and locust bean tree for condiments. Then when looking at some of the practices, I'm not going to dive into all the detail here, but as you can see, there are several important climate smart and post-harvest practices that were promoted in these projects, such as improved soil fertility management, for instance, through composting and rotations or intercrops with legumes, improved water management, either through solar-based irrigation with spray tubes or other technologies that improve water management. Both projects also promoted intercropping or rotation with legumes as a sort of an improved practice, and the production of animal-sourced foods with small animal raising. So for growing in Ghana, they promoted raising of guinea pigs, while in Recife, in Burkina Faso, we promoted poultry and ruminant rearing. So I think I'm not going to dive into detail. The information is here. So we also focused a bit on post-harvest management for some of these crops and processing into convenient foods and nutritious foods. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Birhanu. Birhanu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tom. Good afternoon from Ghana, actually from northern Ghana, Tamale. I am Birhanu Biazan Tamasken. I am working as a project manager for growing and country manager for International Potato Center in Ghana. So I'll be briefly presenting the growing project. The goal of the growing project is to improve nutritional and financial security of women, youth, and young children. We are operating in 6 districts of northern Ghana. We have selected 3 regions, and from each region we have 2 districts. So in total, we are operating in 6 districts. So we have 3 intermediate objectives. The first one is to achieve equitable and enhanced nutrition, particularly for women and young children. As you have been watching from the video, nutrition is a key component of this project. The second intermediate objective is increased control of income by women and youth. That's also another important intermediate objective to considering social and financial inclusion. And the third one is more inclusive, gender equitable, and resilient food systems. So we have targeted about 20,790 direct beneficiaries. By establishing Growing Future Clubs, we are directly benefiting this amount of beneficiaries, and the indirect beneficiaries targeted are about 85,000 people. So the project started in March 2022, and it will end by December 2026. So we have already completed about 2.5 years. So it's a 7.5 million USD project funded by Global Affairs Canada. And you can see from back, please. You can see from the logos that it's led by International Potato Center in collaboration with Keller International and the government of Ghana. Next, please. Next slide. Okay, so the project is targeting the systemic challenge of northern Ghana. Northern Ghana malnutrition is severe, especially for young children and women of reproductive age. And key micronutrients such as vitamins A and C, calcium, iron, and vitamin B12 are critically deficient. There is an environmental challenge, a long dry season, more monomodal rainfall with erratic nature and low soil fertility causing low yield and poverty. And the other serious challenge in northern Ghana is social inequality, where women are disproportionately affected by poverty and malnutrition. So we are targeting the wax crops, such as orange flea sweet potato to harvest vitamin A, vitamin C, B6, magnesium, including the leaves of orange flea sweet potato as a source of lutein. Papaya, moringa, legumes such as groundnut, soybean, and of course the small animal, calf or guinea pig is also considered as a source of animal protein, iron, and vitamin B12. Next, please. Okay, so key interventions. I mean, we have about 5 key components. In the agriculture component, we have about 12 climate smart practices. Some of them have been presented by Tom. So we have about 12 CSA practices focusing on improved varieties of nutritious crops of the 6 types of crops. And the main crop is orange flea sweet potato. We have a recently bred variety for northern Ghana, Janlo, with high beta-carotene content and good dry matter. And we are encouraging all the direct beneficiaries to establish backyard farming. And we are considering 4 crops in the backyard farming: papaya, moringa, amaranth, and orange flea sweet potato. And we are seeing already good, achievements from the establishment of backyards. We have some seed conservation system. One of them is the SSS approach, which is a sand storage system, storing of the sweet potato sand during the long dry season and get sprouts at the beginning of the rainy season. So for the integrated nutrition intervention, we are using integrated approach, a combination of innovations to achieve change in behavior and dietary practice. And the most important innovation is using the demarcated feeding bowl, as you can see here, and the slotted spoons. So it helps to portion the porridge, and the spoon is very important to optimize the density of the porridge. So we combine goal cards, star diet cards, videos, song, and cooking demonstrations, as you have already seen in the video. Next, please. Yeah, we have also social inclusion innovations. We are engaging the beneficiaries in gender dialogues, and we have established also social awareness and action committee, engaging key members of the communities so that we could influence the gender norms, improve women's access to fertile lands, which is actually a challenge in northern Ghana. We are addressing the issues of market by establishing marketing groups. All the beneficiaries in each community, intervention community, are organized as farmer-based organization and registered. So we call them Growing Future Clubs. We identified healthy food connectors that have been subsidized with tricycles, as you can see in the first picture. So these tricycle owners, which are 12, targeting 12 markets, are linking the rural communities with the district's markets. And as the district markets, as you can see in the middle picture, we have identified marketing stalls, good traders of the nutritious crops, and we are branding them and promoting so that they could market and promote nutritious crops. We are even doing cooking demonstration with them, as we have a number of recipes. We have got about 11 recipes actually from orange flea sweet potato. So we are also doing village saving and loan association. Okay, we have some achievements so far. One of the key achievements we have observed is increased availability and supply of planting materials for nutritious crops, which have been a serious challenge. So we have established vine multipliers for orange flea sweet potato in each district. We have also nurseries for crops like papaya in each district established. They started supplying not only for the beneficiary households, but also for the dominant households. They started already somehow selling. The other important achievement is improved yield and income from the CSA practices. As you can see in the graph, the combination of CSA practices for groundnut, for instance, which is being promoted as a rotational crop with orange flea sweet potato. Combining inoculant with compost has increased the yield of groundnut as compared to the farmer practice by 71%. And the yield of sweet potato increased from 1.6, brings the baseline to about 6.4 tons from farmers' field. But we have got up to 18 tons in experimental fields. Next, please. Yeah, as we move again to achievements, we have increased access to agricultural services. You can see the graph again. The first bar shows the difference between the baseline and the inline for agricultural service score for agricultural services such as agricultural extension, information for market, and so on. So it increased from 0.37 at the baseline to about 0.6 at the end of the second year. And dietary diversity has increased for children, women, and households. You can see a significant increase in dietary. And this is related to change in behavior in dietary practices and the role of gender, that's men and women in the household. Next, please. Okay, so yeah, we have some lessons learned. The first one is the VAX crops are climate resilient and nutritious, and they are marketable. They can be marketed. As you can see, we have a typical market model. We have the community level situation. We have the healthy food connectors that are owners of the tricycles, and we have the market. So upon proper introduction of climate resilient agriculture and increasing the production, market is key, and market linkage together with improved introduction of the climate resilient and nutrition interventions could make us successful in the VAX crops. The integrated training and demonstration on agriculture nutrition marketing aspects can popularize VAX for improved adoption, which have been marginalized in many parts of Africa. The production and marketing of perishable crops, such as orange flesh sweet potato, can be improved through market linkage establishment, through small and micro enterprise agro-processing. We are promoting with medium-level agro-processing and staggered production using irrigation, as we have already started with the vine multipliers, who are also producing roots in a staggered arrangement so that roots can be available in the market throughout the year. Supporting healthy food connectors with tricycles can link remote rural communities to the market, and gender transformative approaches and women empowerment are key to achieving improved household dietary practices and gender roles. Next, please. Next, please. Tom. Okay. So we were implementing with, no, back, please. We have observed some challenges related to VAX crops. So the first one is lack of research and innovation on VAX crops. They are not prioritized in the research arena. So more research and collaboration are needed with national agriculture research institutes for the development of locally adapted innovations, and also to conserve the biodiversity of the nutritious VAX crops. Lack of attention for VAX crops also is observed by policymakers and development actors. So institutionalization of the VAX crops and innovation by government partners is still a challenge. The other challenge we observe is the input supply system, especially seed and seedling supply for VAX crops is still a challenge, and we need to work more on increasing availability of the seed and seedlings. Lack of sectoral integration for effective implementation of this type of integrated intervention. We cannot go separately to different sectors of the government. So sectoral integration between Ministry of Health, for instance, and Ministry of Agriculture is critical. So this needs to be considered in future developments. Next, please. Back, please, sorry. Yeah, next. Yeah, so what's next with growing? I mean, this is the last slide from my side. So annual monitoring in the line will happen in 2025, and this will be used to collect evidence for design of next phase of growing at scale. efforts started to decide which interventions can be institutionalized by the government partners in Ghana, such as the Ghana Health Service and Department of Agriculture. We are starting also mainstreaming and communicating the evidences and success stories of the project through social media or mainstream media and other communication strategies, like the videos you have seen at the beginning of this webinar. We need to collaborate and disseminate the context to neighboring countries, which are neighboring particularly with northern Ghana, such as Benin, Togo, and Burkina Faso. We want to broaden also the efforts on other wax crops, because in northern Ghana, we have a lot of wax crops, such as okra, bambara beans, taro, funio, which is also another nutritious crop, chartreuse, cashew, and etc. So that's all from my side. Thank you, Tom. Over to you.
Thank you, Birhanu. Let's hand it over to Regina for the Recifa project. Go ahead, Regina.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am really pleased to speak this afternoon about our Recifa project, which called Pathway to Women's Empowerment and Resilience in Sicily province in Center-West region in Burkina Faso. Please, back, yes. And the goal of our project is sustainably enhance economic opportunities and strengthen the resilience of women to achieve improved food and nutrition security in Sicily province in Burkina Faso. This project intervened in only one province, which represent one health district. And we intervene in 100 villages. We have 4 objectives. The first objective is enhance women's productive capacity in agriculture. The second, promote optimal health, nutrition, and hygiene practices. The third, encourage shift in social norm for economic opportunity and gender equality. And the last, strengthen women's control over assets and decision-making within households. Our target is 48,000 beneficiaries with 8,000 direct beneficiaries. The project is implemented from February 22 to January 25. As you can see, the project will be ended in a few months. And the budget was around 5 million USD and funded by Hemsley Charitable Trust. Please, next. I would like to speak a little bit the intervention of Recifa project. In this project, we promoted the following crops. The main crops is orange fleshes, sweet potatoes, OFSP, the cowpea, groundnut, leafy vegetables, chia, baobab, nire, moringa. We also support the animal production among our beneficiaries, as poultry, small ruminants, and sometimes pigs. As it's multi-sectoral project, we also promote mother and child nutrition by promoting optimal infant and young child feeding practices through mother groups, mother support groups, which call in Burkina Faso GASPA groups, and they are part of national IYCF plan. And we monitor also of these feeding practices. In market side, we promote to develop the value chain through sale of OFSP vine cuttings, processing of OFSP, and also non-timber forest product. To improve empowerment and gender equality, we implement husband-school approach. We establish village saving allowance association and promote the development and income generating activity among our beneficiaries. Please, next slide. Okay, here I would like to share with you some achievement. You can see what wax field crops produced during the project life. It's like OFSP, okra, jute mallow, cowpea, groundnuts, nightshade. And I share with you some results from agriculture marketing survey. And about OFSP production, we got an average yield 8 tons by hectare, with total 304 tons, which represent 60 kilo per beneficiary. Leafy vegetable production was around 47 ton by hectare, which represent 265 kilo by beneficiary. And for cowpea in ground seed production, I draw attention, it's about seed production. We got 12 ton, which represent 2 and 5 kilo of seed by beneficiary. And the survey also assessed that we got 40 ton on fodder harvested for animal feeds. And the next result that I am really proud to share with you, it is the result came from a recent end-line survey. Over 3 project implementation year, minimum diet diversity of children improve. They are going up from 27.5% to 60%, and minimum dietary diversity of women going up from 48% to 75%. It is the really great result. We are really proud to share with you. Now I would like to speak about some income generation activity. We put in place around 329 BCLA group in the villages, and we noticed that 72% of participants generated incomes from processing, not only processing of OFSP, but also non-timber forest product, legumes. They also got the incomes from small livestock and trading of the cereals. We improve women access to the finance. Here you can see the result of the Vesela group. The total saving is around 580,000 of USD dollars, which represent $52 per members, and total loans is around $391,000. And I draw the attention that all loans was 100 was recovered. And the Vesela group established also the social fund that around that amount is around $20,000 for any emergency issues to support someone in family who is in need, and it improves also the women resilience. The income generated by different activity, the women use for family foods, for family health, for school fees, and sometimes they reinvest it in agriculture activity for some intrant and for some income generation activity. And you can see the picture when the woman in the village of Don learn how to prepare sumbala. Please, next slide. Okay, now I would like to speak about some successes, challenges, and lessons learned relevant for all of us. Use of organic, locally developed fertilizer called birkum allow increase OFSP yield up to 30 tons by hectare. It is really good result because in the previous project we never can reach this harvest the OFSP by by hectare. Adopting a water-efficient crops like amaranth helps mitigate erratic rains and water stress in this climate change context. We also observe double benefits of OFSP vine cuttings and root. We can sell both of them, and it can strengthen household economies. And sure, we use OFSP and OFSP leaves also for family consumption. Triple S technology using in the growing project method and ensure a sustainable supply of cutting for small farmers. It's a good lesson learned. And zero energy cooling chamber and clay pot cooler technology for storage of fresh vegetables adapts to commercial scale and household level storage. We know we are in Sahel environment, and if you don't use these practices, the vegetables will be spoiled very quickly. Please, next slide. Processing of OFSP in several products and recipes. We have already at least 6 recipes. Increased shelf life, versatility and demand for these crops on the field. And processing of KOP in groundnut on the blender flour. It's very useful for complementary food for young children. It's improved their nutrition status. And marketing of OFSP sometimes is really challenging. It really challenges to find a ready market for OFSP and requires active networking and linkages that we made in this project. And other lesson learned, consumption of diverse production, increased dietary diversity of women and young children that can be confirmed by our online survey. Tom? Next slide, please. Here we are at the end of the other presentation, but we are also at the end of the other projects. So we are looking for the sustainability and exit strategy. So we work closely with local authority, and we promote local ownership through the involvement of provincial authority like High Commissionary and measure from commune. We will work closely with health and agriculture department, and we create continuity of all activity after project end by training the actors and by handing over the activity to community leaders and all local structure, as I mentioned previously. We focus on documentation and capitalization of the successes of this project, but also challenges met on the field and lessons learned. And we monitor, we plan to monitor our beneficiary and community after the end of this project. We plan to do it in the other project, which will be implemented close to this province. And we are really focused on the scalability of this project. And we plan to assess long-term impact on the community and readiness of innovation, of all intervention for scaling up. We also plan to disseminate the funding from this project among different public inside of the country, but also in other external platforms. And we want to explore policy development and scaling the intervention with government and local partners, whom we work closely during the implementation of the RISIFA project. Tom, I am at the end of my presentation. Over to you for the conclusion.
Thank you so much, Regina. I'm going to make some conclusions related to the VAX crops and the VAX food supply chains. So as you have seen, both the Growing and RISIFA project are showing that it's really possible to improve nutrition outcomes and also livelihood outcomes in a limited time frame with mostly VAX opportunity crops. For instance, both projects chose crops and livestock interventions that responded to identified dietary gaps and agroecological context. Improved varieties and quality planting materials were still a major constraint, and so these were addressed in the two projects by providing access to these materials. It also appeared that different crops had different bottlenecks in the supply chains. For example, non-timber forest products like locust bean tree, it appears that capital and equipment for small-scale processing was a major constraint, possibly also the conservation of trees in the field. For orange flesh sweet potato, storage is a major constraint, and some innovations such as storage in sand, drying of root chips, and irrigation with staggered planting and harvesting were able to address these. For pulses like cowpea and groundnut, quality seed and seed storage is still a major constraint. So there are innovations that we've used to address these as well. Hey, I think we need to go back one. Yes, sorry. And however, there's still a lack of research and innovations for many of the VAX opportunity crops on breeding and variety development, agronomy, storage, processing, and appropriate equipment for mechanization, for instance. In addition, many VAX crops are not included in national agriculture programs, strategies, and as a result, agriculture extension doesn't prioritize them. There's a great need for generating innovations and evidence, as well as advocacy for inclusion and prioritization of these VAX crops in national policies and programs. Finally, the real impact in the local food systems is achieved by small and medium enterprises that produce, store, transport, and process and market these nutritious foods. So we need to support these SMEs with access to finance, innovations, equipment, and skills to unleash their potential to promote these nutritious foods, while making a profit and improving their own livelihoods. And with that, I would like to thank the presenters, Birhanu and Regina, and our colleagues from the US Department of State, Tiffany and colleagues, and suggest we move to question and answer and discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Everyone, as it pertains to question and answers, feel free to either unmute yourself. We'd like you to use the raise hand feature, or you can put your question in the chat. And you already have some questions in the chat, Tom, if you'd like to start with those.
Yeah, so there was a question by Jan Lo about the varieties of orange flesh sweet potato that were promoted. So there were 6 different orange flesh sweet potato and 1 purple flesh sweet potato variety promoted, and the most popular currently being Mother's Delight, which I think is a variety from Nigeria that has been promoted.
We have one raised hand here by Gina Kennedy. Gina, feel free to ask your question.
Yes, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. It's very, very exciting to see these results. As Tiffany said, I'm Gina Kennedy. I work for the Alliance of Biodiversity, so we're also a CGIAR center. And my questions are a little bit more on the consumer demand facing side and consumer acceptance side. It was very, very intriguing to see the introduction of the guinea pig or the kavi in Ghana. Is that a new livestock species, or is the community familiar with that? And maybe somebody from the Ghana team could speak to how well the consumers accepted that. And then I guess my second question is just more on these amazing, fantastic results that both teams got on dietary diversity, increasing dietary diversity of children and women. And did you measure any other indicators like parental qualitative observations of less illness or happier or more attentive children, less fussy children, any other indicators at all, or anything about child growth? Thank you.
Yes, so I think Birhanu or Joyce can respond to the question for Kavis.
Birhanu, are you there? Just go ahead.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Jenny, for the nice question. Yes, we are promoting guinea pigs. We call cavies because pigs, the name pigs is not accepted in northern Ghana. The majority of the people are not consuming pigs, so we call them cavies in northern Ghana. So it has been considered as one of the potential small animals that can be easily reared by women and help not only for improving nutrition at household level, but also improving income of households, especially women, because they are not difficult to rear and they can tolerate the the long dry season and high heat condition of northern Ghana. So during our formative research, we made some assessments, and it was understood that there is no taboo for cavies and they can be consumed. And many people in northern Ghana knew it. And there were cavie rearing practices many years ago, and still it's happening in southern Ghana, like around Kumasi. So based on that, we started a small-scale demonstration on selected communities. And what we had a serious challenge at the beginning, and we had to tackle the high young mortality. But upon continuous engagement, we are trying to arrest the mortality of puppies. So now they start selling. We are still on promotion stage. Only few households are selling, but the rearing is going well. And some communities started generating income by selling the cavies for other households who are rearing cavies. And they are using that, many, especially women. Some are still buying other inputs. So still, it's a pilot state, but generally, cavie meat is very much consumed in southern Ghana, and it's the same in northern Ghana. With regard to the second question about the qualitative indicators, yes, we did a preliminary qualitative assessment, and we have got some impressive results, as you might have seen in the video at the beginning. Some households mentioned that the frequency of taking their young children to, for instance, to health centers has reduced significantly after they have been beneficiaries of the project and they attended the trainings. They started applying the innovations. And of course, the harmony between the household has also changed, because we are combining nutrition interventions with gender dialogues. We have social inclusion intervention. We have innovative way of undergoing gender dialogues. We have about 12 modules that each club or beneficiary group should attend. And because of that, the harmony has changed, and also the happiness has increased. So even men started feeding their children, cooking and feeding their children. So they have started changing their roles in the households after the integrated nutritional culture and gender transformative interventions. Over to you, Tom.
Yes, thank you. So we have just basically finished the end line, and the data on dietary diversity was taken from that end line, where we are finalizing the report. Regina, I don't know if you have any comments on the sort of additional qualitative or quantitative indicators that we're measuring within the RECIFA.
Thank you, Tom. No, I think we didn't measure a special quantitative indicator among the parents. We also appreciate IYCF practices and agriculture practices, nutrition status, And as you said, the report is under finalization, and any qualitative indicator.
We are measuring some indicators related to women's empowerment and household decision making. So that contributes maybe in a way to the nutrition practices and caregiving practices.
We are at the end of the hour, but I wanted to know, maybe we could take just one more question, either from the chat or from the community.
Tiffany, you can take from the community because most of the chat questions are addressed. Jan is also helping. So if there's one person from the community, we can take one more before we close. Thanks.
Any questions from our participants? You can just unmute or use the raise hand feature.
Yeah, this is thank you so much. Very interesting presentations. I just wonder, what is the stage of these projects? I mean, what is the life of them? And what will be, how you see this to be sustainable in the future? Is there a good prospect? Thank you.
Yes, so I would like to respond to that. So for the growing project, I think they are in a 4-year, it's a 4-year project. The Recifa project was a 3-year project, but it was following up on a similar project in the same geographical area that was already 3 years ongoing. What we don't really know very well is how long do the effects, for instance, on dietary diversity, production, and income, how do these effects last after project intervention? And so in the future projects, and we have actually a project that is going to be implemented in Burkina Faso. We're not going to intervene in these villages anymore, but we're going to be monitoring them over 3 years to see how well these achievements and the results on dietary diversity will be maintained after project intervention. So we can't say much about it now, but we will be monitoring that and hopefully be able to report on that in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, just to quickly add on the growing project, we are in the 2nd year of implementation. We have 2 more years, and in the design and implementation of this project has sustainability elements. And of course, it's a new project, more of a proof of concept. So we are also hoping to get a phase 2 that we can also expand and have really more long-lasting impact, you know, by, of course, extending the implementation a bit, but also going into other geographies and trying other things that will make the project sustainable in years to come. And of course, the capacity of partners on the ground is very, very critical to make sure that there is continuity and sustainability. Thank you. Back to you, Tiffany.
With that being said, I'd like to thank everyone, all of our panelists today. Thank you for this very timely discussion and for providing examples from the real world. That's greatly appreciated. Next month, please be on the lookout for a notification regarding our December Facts Community of Practice webinar. So that being said, I'll let you all go and I'll see you next month. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.